Always learning and growing. Attracting the right people and keeping your vision in focus every day. This is the Brian Covey Show.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Brian Covey Show. So today is very special. I have my coach, Coach Micheal Burt, joining us, and you guys are going to love this. Not only his energy, but what he's going to share with you about being a superstar coach and somebody that coaches some of the highest performing entrepreneurs, successful real estate, mortgage folks, and then outside of that into insurance and just life in general. So Coach Burt's had a huge impact in my life and my team. So we wanted to bring him on today because I know a lot of people are trying to figure out during quarantine what's happening with coaching. They're trying to figure out who do they want to be on the other side of this. And there's probably nobody better out there than Coach Burt. So thank you for joining us and spending some time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me coach you. I know it was another mortgage originator from another company that kept saying, man, you got to connect with Brian. You got to connect with Brian. And thank goodness we worked the muscle and connected to you. And it was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was Kevin Watson. And I remember we actually work out now at Iron Tribe together. And he's been in a small group with me. And it's funny how sometimes it takes a peer or a friend to say, hey, man, this is who you need to connect with. And it's that relationship then is started just from an introduction.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
And I appreciate Kevin, for making that introduction and for telling me you need to know this guy. And, and we worked our cycle, right, to stay in you're a busy guy. We worked the cycle to get in your face and stay in your face. And then you came one day and you're like, I'm in, right? I've seen enough to make a decision. So I appreciate that.
Well, and what was cool, and I'd love for you to share this part, is you blend this unique part that me being an athlete and playing soccer, you bring not only being a championship basketball coach and leading your team to championships, but you've moved into coaching entrepreneurs and a successful business coach now. And I would almost even say life coach, because I think the principles you teach are outside of not just business, they're life. And one of the things that stuck with me is your relentless follow-up, but that it felt like there was a connection in a system. And so I'd be curious, you do this exceptionally well. How do you continue to add clients in today's climate, right? That we're not able to see each other in person, and you're out there now still working your system. So you can probably share better than anybody. What does it take to be successful and have a system that works regardless of your industry?
Well, I think you mentioned the key word, and that is I work the muscle. Like I show up every day. I have a system. That system is coming out in a new book I just finished called Legacy Selling, and it outlines the system, right? And there is a system. There is the activation of prey drive. There is an explanation of service. There is a selling system. There is a follow-up. There is an extraction of referrals, and ultimately a person of interest. And most business people, irrespective of what industry they're in, do not have a growth system. So their days are random, sporadic. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of wasted movements, I say. And I go back to being a basketball coach. There was no wasted movement. How we pivot, how we catch, how we move, how we do a drill, how we play defense. There was no wasted movement. And so as a business coach, I see a lot of wasted movement. We spend our time, we're confused. There's a confusion of time. Like people, yesterday I was coaching people and they say, well, I got a time management problem. And you really don't have a time management problem. You have a confusion of priority. And the number one purpose of any business is to create customers. So you need a plan, you need a tactic, you need a strategy. So that's the system you're referring to that we teach in Monster Producer. We call that the Monster Growth System. And there's a selling system inside of that, a follow-up system. There's an extraction of referral, and there's an engagement piece, and there's a person of interest strategy. All of it's part of one growth system.
Yeah, we've seen exponential results from it. So we're going to have some links, and you guys are going to be able to find out more about that, because I know it's made a difference in our group. So why do you think, Coach, you work with a lot of people. Why is it that people are having this confusion so much? Like, where is that breakdown for them typically?
Well, let's talk about the life part first, because I was a deep disciple of Covey. Yeah. And Covey believed to build the organization, you build the man. I actually believe what we've seen during this cycle is when you take away man's ability to work or pursue, he actually becomes destructive, meaning alcohol sales are up, domestic violence is up, Suicide rates are up. All of these things are a direct result of taking away a person's ability to pursue and work and distribute their talents. And you cage a person up, and man, some people can become destructive. And, so for me, I think with a lot of people, the problem is just a pure confusion of the business, meaning the difference between high value and low value. The purpose of me doing every movement I do in a day is to produce new revenue for the company. Right. And in the new world, we can do it through podcasts and interviews and webinars and virtual summits. Like I'm on a virtual summit tomorrow, and they told me that at any given time, there will be no fewer than 3,000 people on that summit. I mean, there's John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, Damon John. I mean, Michael Hyatt, you name all the big time people, they've been on this thing. And to me, that's prospecting. That is a showcase ability, right? Like what I'm doing with you. This is, instead of talking to one person, ever how many people watch this, I'll be talking to all those people.
That's right.
So there's a high value of my time and there's a low value of my time. And I have to make a decision how I'm going to invest my time every day that will get the output that I want. Most people waste time during the day. Most of the companies I coach, they say they're wasting 3 to 4 hours a day and just low value activity, complaining, whining, pouting, feeling sorry, talking about people like it's just low value time. Okay. A high value is money generating activity.
Yeah. And I love that because you talk about that pursuit and you probably read Wild at Heart, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just think you hit the nail on the head. It is right now. You can see people that are leaning in, and you talk about going on the offense versus people are playing defense.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, and it's like you can be calm in the storm, but you got to get in, right? You got to get in the game and be a competitor versus just a player. And so I'd love for you to just kind of unpack. I think we can probably cover what makes a great coach. And I think there's some things that we could talk about there, but I would love to hear on the other side of this, because most of us won't be actual coaches that listen to this. They're going to be finding a coach. They're going to be looking for somebody that can help them through and become their best versions of themselves. What makes somebody that's a great player or client when they're working with a coach?
Well, I think about this. When you said getting in the game, I had to say this. King David was a great king in the Bible. He went into war every year. He was respected. When he got himself into trouble is the year he decided to stay home. That's when he saw Bathsheba. That's when he got himself into trouble. That's because he didn't go into battle.
Yep.
And right now there's so many people that are choosing not to go into battle. We may have to go into battle a different way. We may have to, work the system a different way, but that's no excuse for just not going into battle. That's no excuse for just saying, hey, man, we're going to wait till see what happens. Well, these violate principles that I live by. And one of the principles is never allow another person to stand between you and your destiny.
Yeah.
There is no shortage of opportunity. My mother-in-law wanted to pick up some extra money, and she's on Social Security, and it's my wife's mother. And she went to work delivering groceries for Instacart. And she said, some of those people make $1,000 a week. And I told my wife, I said, I mean, there's no shortage of work for people that want to go to work. They just don't want to go do the work. Okay. If she's willing to go shop and get groceries and take it to people, and that's her job, and she makes $1,000 extra bucks. I mean, she's making $1,000 more dollars. And if you're broke and if you don't have the money, then that's what you need to do. Right. Yeah. And so to your point, what makes a great student is it goes back to the concept of the teacher, that the teacher cannot teach until the pupil is ready. Once the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. I coach some people, Brian, like you, Chad Anderson, you guys get a concept and you go do it. You don't whine, you don't complain, you don't make excuses. You don't need to talk to me every second of every day. I've got a guy down in Miami that owns Smoothie Kings, Omar Madrana. He watches my stuff. He loves it. He don't need me to hold his hand. He don't need me to call him every day. You don't need me to tell him how great he is. He just, to me, the coaching program is predicated on the desire of the learner. Like when I'm in coaching programs, it's their job to coach me, but it's my job to be coached. It's my job to extract the maximum value out of the relationship. And so I make up my mind what I'm going to get before I go. Okay. Mm-hmm. And an example was I went to Tony Robbins, Awaken the Fire Within, or, whatever, the 4-day deal. And literally within 15 minutes, I paid $3,500. I took a guy on my team with me, and within 15 minutes, I said, man, I got everything I needed. Because what I wanted to get was, how does Tony Robbins get 10,000 people in a room? Yeah. What is the experience? And within 15 minutes, I saw it. So I said, if I left right now, 15 minutes into this, I would have got my $3,500 worth. I'm only, like, big time people are looking for one tactic, one strategy, one idea. They're not, they don't want to be entertained. Like, I don't get coached to be entertained. I get coached to learn strategy, to learn tactic, to learn mindset, to learn idea. It's up to me to take it, which is why you see some people in my program, a real estate agent, take my stuff and go from doing 45 deals a year to doing 45 a month. You see guys like you that grow by hundreds of millions of dollars of the mortgage space because you take an idea and you run with it. Like I told you, do a podcast, you do a podcast. I told you to write a book, you write a book. I tell you that here's how you need to recruit, you go do it. Like this goes back to a story, and I got to tell you this because I think you'll find it interesting. I was in a program once when I first made $100,000, my first year of earning $100,000 personally. And I went to this coaching program, and in room A were all people making $100,000. In room B were all people making over $1 million of personal income per year. And the coach was going back and forth between both rooms. He'd teach our room a little bit, then he'd teach the other room. And he came over to our room and somebody raised their hand and said, "Hey, I got a question. What's the difference between the people over there earning $1 million a year personally and the people in here earning $100,000? And I mean, he didn't even think. He said, "That's simple. When I tell you guys to do something, you give me 10 reasons of why it won't work. When I tell them to do something, they go do it." That's the difference between somebody who makes $1 million a year and somebody who makes $100,000 a year.
I mean, you could drop the mic right there. That is fundamentals of, and it's probably the same. I think back to sports, and you coach basketball, obviously. It's the players that you could tell them to do something, they don't question it, and they just say, "Yeah, let's go do that," and they're okay. Like, I'm gonna go try that, because what's the worst thing that happens? It doesn't work. Well, we're gonna try something else, right? And we keep going. So I love how you define that, because I do think that's where most people, they come to the coach almost for, the coach is going to give me all the answers, or they're going to just fix all my problems, and I'm not going to have to work as hard because I have a coach. No, you're going to work that much harder because you've now got clarity and you've got the energy and somebody giving you direction to say, "Let's go here," right? Let's guide you this way. And you've done a great job of that. And you talk a lot about, I love the Stephen Covey stuff, the whole person. And I think right now, probably in this quarantine, we're all realizing maybe something wasn't really in check, right? Like whether it was faith, family, our fitness, our finance, something just got out of whack. So do you mind breaking down, just giving your kind of shorter version of the whole person theory? Because I think that's something right now people need to hear and understand.
Yeah, the whole person theory was really nationalized and commercialized by a guy named Dr. Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits. He wrote that book in 1989. I was, 15 years old in 89. I read the book when I was 18 or 19 years old, The 7 Habits, when I just graduated from college. And he was talking about this whole person, that people are made up of 4 parts: a body, a mind, a heart, and a spirit. And each of these parts produce 4 different needs, 4 different intelligences, 4 different capacities, 4 different dimensions. And if you're going to be a whole person and not a fragmented person, you have to feed and nurture and nourish all 4 parts of your nature. And there are manifestations of this, right? The body represents skills. The mind represents knowledge. The heart represents desire, what I term prey drive. The spirit represents confidence, okay? And if you don't have all 4 of these parts clicking, then you're deficient in an area. So I grabbed this theory, Brian, and I said, okay, I'm going to use this, right? I'm going to use this. You could use it with all of your mortgage originators. You can use it with all the people on your team. And you can very quickly say, this dude has the knowledge, but he don't have the drive. Mm-hmm. He's got the drive, but he don't have the confidence. He's got the confidence, but he don't have the skill. So what it gave me a paradigm to adequately diagnose and prescribe where a person needed coaching. Okay. Now, what you find out is if you don't feed each part of your nature, you become, it's like your tank is empty. Like if I'm not feeding my faith every day, right? And I feed my faith through watching a sermon, reading. I'm reading Business by the Book right now, which is a Christian business book on how to run business from a Christian perspective. Then I watch a sermon at night. Then I have church on Sunday. Then I'm in small groups. That's how I feed my faith.
Yeah.
Then in my body, I'm on a very specific eating plan, which is how I went from 191 to 168. And I have a workout. I personally do tap out, which was real popular about 10 years ago. It's high intensity, kind of kickboxing and different things. I do that 6 days a week. Then I have my mind. I'm learning, growing, studying, being coached by people. Okay. Then I have my heart. How do I activate and reactivate my prey drive? How do I have great relationship with my 7-year-old daughter and my wife? And so all of these parts, like if my wife's mad at me, but my work's going good, and I have no relationship with my kid, but my work's going good, then it affects me. It affects me in a negative way. So this is the part. You're such a good coach, and I don't like the word manager for you because you're so much more than a manager. But we're doing studies right now on the cost of bad managers and how much money is lost in a company. Now, here's a real life example. I saw one mortgage company had a manager. That manager did 48, 50 million over the whole region of Tennessee. Okay. They bring a new manager. That new manager, they do 125 million. Now, what's the difference? You got the same LOs, you got the same people, you got one person that's different. So we have a program called Turn Your Managers into Coaches. We're going to be rolling out in 2021. And it really solves a problem of managers that don't know how to coach. And we'll be teaching them the whole person theory on how to coach people at a high level.
I love that. I had a discussion the other day, and I'd love your insights on this, is the difference between managers and leaders, or even like, I like to use the word coach because coming from an athletic background, I just feel like, yes, I have leadership qualities and yes, I'm going to lead the team, but it's more of leaders kind of a title somebody gives to you and they follow your lead versus, man, if I'm a coach, like I'm studying, I'm in the fundamentals of coaching and behavior. Like you said, whole person.
Yep.
So what would be the things that you would share? What's the differences there of the manager over here versus, let's call him the coaching leader,
Yeah. There's actually, I've said before, you can be a good leader and a lousy coach. You can be you could be a great manager and a bad coach. You can be a great coach and a bad manager, and even my mentor, Covey, when he was running his company, Covey Leadership Center in the early 90s, they were doing about 2 million per year in revenue. And he turned it over to his son, who was a much better manager. And they went from 2 million to 264 million. And here's what Covey said, like, I'm a great teacher. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me teach. All I want to do is teach the 7 habits, write new books, be the authority. I'm a terrible manager, right? Like I don't think I'm a good manager of people. I'm a great coach, but I'm a lousy manager. Yeah. And I think leadership is about affirming and validating the worth and potential in another person. Okay. It's about seeing something in a person. It's leading, it's casting vision, it's direction, guidance. We're going, let's do this. It's part of it's just inspiring other people just with our work ethic. I can't tell you how many people say, man, you just inspire me. You've inspired me to be a professional. You've inspired me to work at a higher frequency. You've inspired me to reach my potential just by working the muscle every day. And so I think a coach is a person that engages a person in a set of systematic behaviors that allows them to do something tomorrow they simply can't do today. Like, think of coaching as engaging you in a set of behaviors, right? Like, you don't do it one time. You don't practice one time. The military doesn't give a person an M16 and say, just watch a video and shoot and get ready. Every day they train. So think of a coach as a person that's training you, coaching you, working your muscle, expanding you, filling your missing structures. Okay. And I see a lot of CEOs that are good at certain things, but maybe they're bad coaches. I see a lot of managers that are great managers, but lousy coaches of talent. So recruit and attract, coach and develop, retain and optimize. That's what a great coach is doing. That's in today's world.
Man, and I love those 3 because we talk about that a lot of it's being able to attract the right talent, take care of them, serve them while they're with your team and they continue to get better. And then, like you said, raising the standards we've talked about a lot with our group is I almost feel like it's a blend of a coach and a leader if they see the potential that other people don't see in themselves. And I know you've talked a lot about that, where I think a lot of people just don't know, or maybe they're not willing to go through that tunnel of pain that I'm going to have to sacrifice whether it's time, money, effort, whatever it is, to get from where I am in this other side, there's this opportunity gap that they have, right? So what do you think prevents people once they've got a coach, and let's just say they do activate, they're starting to do some of these things you're talking about, but I'm thinking about the group out there they're kind of halfway in, but they're not all in. And I think that's a fundamental difference we talk about a lot is you're either all in or you're not. But I think there are a lot of people playing in the middle, right?
Yeah. Well, most people don't even think about their potential. Most people are not having conversations about their potential. The average American's reading less than one book a year. They're not going to personal development. They're not growth. They're not, which is why a percentage of people dominate. They are in this. So I think what the problem is they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what a good coach can do. They don't know what a good company can do. They don't know what a right environment can do. They literally just accept whatever life is. This is how much I'm going to make. This is how it's going to be. It's never going to be any better. And I told my wife once, because she was questioning how hard I work. And I said, look, we're not going to live an ordinary life.
Yeah.
With me, we're going to live an extraordinary life. Okay. We're going to have a private jet. We're going to have a place in Florida. We're going to build a multi-million-dollar company. We're going to build long-term wealth. Like it ain't gonna be normal, and because it ain't gonna be normal, I can't be normal. I can't give normal effort to get extraordinary results. I can't halfway show up and halfway be in. And I had a business coach once that I was paying, I think $300 or $400 an hour to coach me. And every time I talked to him for 5 minutes, he billed me. But I sat down at the very first meeting, and he said to me, "I have one rule and one rule only. You be all in or you get out.
Yeah.
Don't come to me unprepared. Don't call me and short talk, like show up ready to get coached." And he was tough on me. He a lot of the people that have coached me, they don't sugarcoat it. They just tell me this is what you got to do to be successful. Now you're either in or you're out, man. You're either interested or you're not. And I think that's where we get to. Adults need to hear that, by the way.
I think so. Yeah. And I had somebody that was a coach of mine in my career that I remember they say, don't waste my time, right? If you're showing up, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. If we're coming, we're going to do this and we're going to be all in with it. And that's been one of our hashtags that we've used is all in, just as almost a language programmed in to say, we're all in on whatever it is we're doing in that moment. We're right here. We're all in and we go. So I know you've been big. You mentioned the workout piece, which I love because I think right now people are finding their routines maybe weren't structured. Or their routines, they had this massive pattern interrupt. They were showing up every day and they had something that worked. They went to the office, took the kids to school, whatever it was. And now their routine's out the window. And they're 5 weeks into this, 6 weeks in. How has that routine worked for you? And what would you give as far as that coaching of if you can't find your routine, how do you get back into the routine? Because I think a lot of people have fallen out of their routine and you're structured.
Yeah, it's a single decision. It's a simple decision. This month in Monster Producer, we're covering the concept of your wealth can't wait.
Yeah.
It's a simple decision to get wealthy. It's a simple decision to get in better shape. It's a simple decision followed up by consistent action. Yeah. So to me, I wrote a book on this called Swag. It's about confidence. And so a lot of people have had me speaking on confidence to their companies during this period because a lot of people lose their confidence. They get out of shape, they gain weight, they're contracting. And so in the book, I talk about confidence like a science. Like, here's what it is. Here's how you build it. Here's how you maintain it. Here's how you protect it. Here's how you get it back if you lost it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the first things that I would tell a person to get it back is the way you protect your confidence is you stay in a routine that has helped you be successful. Okay. Now, I started my workout program on the Tap Out probably 90 days ago, something like that. And I look at the shape that I've gotten in. If I don't work out now, I feel guilty. What I do is you build a conscience, you build a habit, and you won't even let your own self out of it. Like you build a muscle, and I think it's like making sales calls. Nobody wants to make 80 sales calls a day. Nobody wants to prospect. Nobody wants to call their past clients. Nobody wants to do. So when I tell people you got to do this to be successful, they're like, "Oh God, I got to do that." Like, yeah, you do have to do it if you want to earn more income, if you want to produce more money, and if you don't, then don't do it. If you want to get in better shape, we were doing a session the other night, a health assessment, because we got this new division of our company my wife is leading called Monster Health. And the guy just basically said, man, I don't want to quit. We were saying, look, to get down to your ideal weight, you got to cut out the alcohol at night. you know, you got to cut out the alcohol for a period of time, right? Because this is one of the things that's giving you the big gut. You don't want a big gut, but he's like, I don't know if I want to give up that because I like having a drink at the end of the day. And I'm like, look, you get to your ideal weight. You get to your ideal weight at some point, you can have that alcohol. If you're working out at a hard pace and you're going to burn calories, in moderation, you can do it, but you can't do it at the same time you're trying to lose the weight. Like you can't tell me I want to be in better shape, but I don't want to give up milkshakes. Right. I want to be in better shape, but I don't want to, right? Like you can't have it both ways. So how bad do you want to get rid of the gut? How serious are you about, for people out there, how tired are you of being broke? How tired of you are not hitting your numbers? How embarrassed are you when somebody is out there making 10 million a year and you're making, this year? I mean, to me, it's like, what do they have that you don't have? Nothing other than maybe confidence or, I know a friend of mine who thinks he's going to make $1 billion during this period because he figured out a way to buy masks from 3M. He's turned around and selling those masks. He's got all these relationships. He's failed in business a number of times. But he took a gamble and he showed me he invested $10 million of his own money into this. He raised $74 million in a matter of days. They went and bought 20 million masks from 3M. They're selling them to people. And he literally told me in 90 days, I may make $1 billion.
Wow.
And he said something to me. He said, he who hesitates finishes last.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's guts, man. The guts to do that. But that's the people that win. People that take action are the ones that win.
Yep. And I think that's what, and it goes back to when you said you had the teacher and the coach there. You got the $100,000 earners and the $1 million earners beside each other. And so it comes back to, that's what I hear, the repeating theme of take action, and not sitting on the sideline there. And that's where, we see people like that. So here's what I would love is we're going to kind of pivot a little bit because you come and you have this athletic side that I would love to just talk about this for a second is what are the correlations between a great athletic coach and then correlating that into business? Because I think you've done that well. There's probably people out there that are listening that are coaches or they're leaders in their space, and they're trying to figure out how they can become a better coach or leader. What do they need to be doing right now for their teams to guide them through and lead and coach them to their best?
Well, there's so many things that you learn as an athletic coach that you need in business that if you've never really been an athletic coach, like the way we work, number one is we came early, we stay late, we watch film, we there on Saturdays, we're there like it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And when I got into corporate America, the first big contract I had was with the bank, and the bank wanted me to drive the largest retail initiative in the history of the bank. And I came in and man, they gave me a little team of people. And literally within 3 months, the CEO of the bank called me and he's like, look, you can't work people like this. He's like, you can't have them there at 6:30 in the morning and keep them there to midnight. I'm like, and I asked him a simple question. I'm like, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to have the largest retail initiative increase in the history of this bank or not? Because you can't tell me you want to take it all the way, but you're going to restrict me. Like, this is what I am, man. I'm a stone cold killing machine. Like you're bringing me in. And sure enough, we showed a 43% increase that year. And, but his point was not everybody works at this pace. What I noticed, Brian, the first thing I noticed when I left athletic coaching and got into the business world was a lack of intensity in the business world. Coaches have something in front of them at all times. They got a championship to win. They got a game to prepare for. They got intensity. They lose and they make quick adjustments. They have critical conversations. And I got into the business world and it was, we're going to let a person suck for 6 months before we say anything to them. We're not going to make quick decisions. We got to think about it, meet committees about it, talk about it. Then we don't have any intensity. Everybody goes at a very comfortable pace. What I brought from the athletic world was intensity, which is part of play drive. Now, the whole time I was an athletic coach, I was studying businesses. I was studying great businesses and bringing business concepts to the athletic world. And this is where, like tonight, I'm doing a coaching thing. I did a coaching summit the other day, and there's 1,800 football coaches that registered for this. And they were high school coaches, college football coaches. And what I brought them was business acumen. You need to be running your program like a business. You need to have expectation. You need to do this, this, and this. You need to, right? Like what I brought them. So there's a crossover between business and sport. And the funny thing is, when I first started, I called myself a coachepreneur And it was a cross between a coach and an entrepreneur. And the problem with that is I would go speak and people would try to say it when they were introducing me, and they had no idea how to say that. And so I said, I got to take that out of my bio, man. It's coachingpreneur, coachingpreneur.
Yeah, they're screwed up. I do love the way you frame that, though. It's like the super coach, but then you have the entrepreneur mind. And those are where, hopefully those that are listening in that don't know you will check out all the things that you've shared about the selling system, the Prey Drive. I mean, you've written some books that have had an impact on me. And so I'm curious for you, what do you think? What's been your biggest accomplishment as you look back?
I think taking a program, my first big accomplishment was being named the youngest head coach in the state of Tennessee, at 22 years old, taking over a program that had never won in 30 years, never won a championship. They had been to one championship game in 1979 and turning that into a national powerhouse that would go on to win 7 of 9 state championships.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of the legacy there. I'm also proud of, speaking at 10X, being on the stages I'm on today. A conference, this virtual conference I'm on tomorrow or Saturday is with, Tony Robbins, Damon John, Grant Cardone, the biggest people in the world. Yeah. And I'm proud that I've been able to leverage my sports career to get on stages and to really build partnerships with some of the biggest people in the world. And there's a lesson in there. I came from a small town. I've worked hard my whole life. I believe in rhythm and structure. And to be able to live the life I live, I'm here at an 8,000 square foot lodge that I own. I got a beautiful 9-bedroom house in Florida. I got a jet I can fly around on, although it's been parked for a couple months. There's nowhere for me to go. But I want that to be. I don't say that braggingly. I don't say it boastfully. I say it humbly to say, if I can go out there and hustle and work and do it, you can do it. And but sometimes you gotta suck the sour to get to the sweet, and sometimes you gotta embrace the suck, as the Navy SEALs say. And it ain't easy. I mean, running a coaching business or doing what you do every day, it's not easy, man. Trying to get people toward it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's just not easy helping that many people in a day. So it looks glamorous. Like you traveled with me for a day to Memphis.
Yeah.
We did 3 or 4 events. Like it looks glamorous, right? Like it looks like, oh, it's so sexy and it's fun, and getting up at 4:30 or 5 and being there and fly like it. There's parts of it that are fun, but it is really, really emotionally taxing work. And there's people out there that want to be coaches, and we do $1 million coaching summit that I would really encourage people to go through, because I teach them how to speak, how to train, how to write their book, how to package content, how to sell content. Right. And we've been able to do this at a multi-million-dollar level. So I know how to teach you how to do it. And that's one thing I'm really excited about doing, is coaching people on how to coach.
That's it. I love that, because we talk about as leaders create more leaders that create more leaders. And so we don't just stop at one level. Like, we're going to continue to create. And you're creating those monster producers that some will go coach, some won't, but they're going to go be their best in whatever they do, which makes the world a better place. And you get fulfillment, because I know you're intense like I am, where I'm like, hey, look, man, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We got to show up, and we got to go all in today and put the work in. So last thing, I know people are going to want to find you. They're going to want to find out more. Where can people find information about Coach Burt, where you are online? I know you do a lot of social stuff there, but where can they find out more about you and your coaching program?
Yeah, I would encourage them. We're building my Coach Burt fan page on Facebook. Go there for content. I'm going to be pumping out a lot more content there. So search Coach Micheal Burt, like that page, get up to date concepts. Go to my website, coachburt.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Micheal Burt. I do spell it Micheal, because everybody needs a good coach in life. And then I think YouTube, man, we're pumping out something every day on YouTube. The live things I'm doing, I've done 3 coaching sessions today for 3 different companies, recruiters, real estate agents, and we take it, record that, and pump that stuff right to YouTube. And that gives people a chance to get to know me as a person. I think one of the best compliments we get is you're authentic, you're real, you care about the people you coach. We get access to you. I know that's not how people think you scale things, but I mean, that is something that when you're in my coaching program, you get coached by me. I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent. You don't get Coach Kurt, you get Coach Burt. Okay. So that's just the way I've structured it, because so many people have got into coaching programs and they went and saw a person speak, and then they signed up and they didn't get that person. They got somebody else, and there's a slippage there, from my opinion, between how good the guy is or the girl is and the other guys. So we've structured in a way that every person can be coached by me.
I love it. And there's so many different programs you offer that for those of you that are listening in, you got to check out what Coach Burt's doing, because as you mentioned, everything from being a coach to writing books to working even on like branding, I've seen things you've done, and just actually working the system so that you're attracting clients and you're making money. Like, to me, it's simple, but most people are missing that component. And so I would challenge our listeners that are listening in, you need to find a great coach. I fully endorse. I mean, Coach Burt's done a phenomenal job with our team, so you need to check him out and make sure that you learn more there. So, Coach, I'm sure we could go on for a long time. Man, I love, like, you get me fired up. I love learning from you and getting coached by you. And I know our team, I mean, I just look at where we are, but more exciting, I look at where we're going to be in 5-10 years. And man, it's huge. So thank you.
Well, your team has been, one of our top success stories. I'm honored to just be a small part of what you guys have done, and the way you've blown up and exploded and recruited and grown, and the numbers are just phenomenal. And we tell people, hey, we're associated with those guys. When people ask me, well, who's the hottest group out there, I tell them you guys. I said, man, this is I like what they're doing. I like their energy. I like their attack. We're very much in alignment on our beliefs. Yeah. And, you just need to check on what they're doing and be interested in it, be involved in it, because getting in the right environment is critical to your future success.
100%. So thank you for sharing this. And guys, this has been another edition of the Brian Covey Show. You got to check out Coach Burt. This has been one that I know we're going to have a lot of things you're going to want to go back and listen and write down, and you're going to come back and learn a lot. So Coach, thank you very much.
Absolutely, big guy. Thank you. Okay. I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. See you soon.
Loving it. Talk to you soon.
Subscribe, rate, and review The Brian Covey Show today. Go to briancovey.com.